Gina, I was going to start with you. Part of the work that you do with your team at UNDP you work on solving some of today's most pressing issues through innovative strategies. And one issue that you've worked on is reaching the unbanked populations of the world, something that we've been talking about as a global community for years. Start us off by talking about the challenges with reaching the unbanked populations and how digital access is a potential solution to these issues.
Well, thank you so much, and really great to be here on behalf of the United Nations Development Program, which, for those of you who don't know, we're part of the United Nations. We accompany governments on their quest to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. And we've also doubled down on financial inclusion and innovation as ways forward.
We're part of the United Nations.
We're part of the United Nations. We accompany governments on their quest to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. And we've also doubled down on financial inclusion and innovation as ways forward.
So I was talking to our team, in South Sudan a bit recently. And they were talking to me about some work, a very small scale experiment that they've done in a remote border town where there are no roads, no electricity, no banks. What they do have is mobile phone coverage and this village savings mechanism that what women do is they put whatever money they have together in a box called sanduk in Arabic, and they basically loan it out based on who they decide needs it and at what interest rate, etc. What our UNDP Accelerator Lab team did is go in and study the process, study the community practice, the sort of grassroots practice, digitize it, and now the mobile money company, the one mobile money company in Sudan, Garouche, has taken the insights from this very small scale experiment and now scaled it up to build out commercial mobile wallets for village savings groups as a new service offering.
Mobile wallets for village savings.
So you can see sort of this is how you can take a situation where people don't have bank accounts, they don't have access to internet, they can't borrow, they can't save, they can't do transactions.
They can't borrow, they can't save, they can't do transactions.
In fact, they tell me to do a transaction, you not only have to send money to Khartoum, but to Cairo in some cases. So it's a massive cash-based economy. You've got trucks of cash being driven around wildly unsafe. For fires, for theft, for everything else. And so what we're trying to explore is if taking cash out of the equation and using this mobile money transactions can help people grow businesses and foster entrepreneurship.
Tommaso, the IMF looks at these issues from a macroeconomic perspective. I think by one count, more than a third of the global population has never even used the internet. And yet over the last 3 years, the shift to digital banking has been very dramatic and swift. So who's being left behind as a lot of places make progress? Are there countries that are being left behind in areas that we should kind of focus on to bring them up to what the rest of the world is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. The environment looks very, very heterogeneous. Some countries are much more advanced, some very, very far behind. South Sudan, you were just speaking of South Sudan, has
6%
of the adult population with bank accounts. That's extremely low. That's on the very low end. In the same category of low-income countries, Uganda has a banking sector penetration of about
66%.
So a lot of variation.
6%, 66%.
A lot of variation within countries, between different groups, but also between countries. And when we think about financial inclusion, it's important to think about this at the micro level. So to think about people who have access to payments, who have access to saving mechanisms, and then from there, that's the first step of the ladder. From there, get access to credit and insurance, managing risks, right? Very, very important. So that's the micro approach. But then there's a macro approach that thinks about the differences between countries. And we speak about the digital divide. And that's what we're trying to bridge. And I think the IMF has an important role to play in this space.